Welcome to the 12 days of Vlogmas here at my new YouTube channel, Disabled Farm School. Hi friends, welcome back to Disabled Farm School. I'm Rachel. Today I wanted to show you how I make really beautiful paper snowflakes to hang in the windows in the winter. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, the heat is up very high in the house that I'm staying in, but I put this hat on to be festive. I'm regretting it. I have pots, I tend to overheat, and I'm gonna take my socks off. Oh, much better. There we go. Yeah, so I thought I'd show you how to make a really beautiful snowflake that is actually something you want to hang on your window or your wall, along with, you know, those old ones you made when you were a kid. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about crafting and dynamic disability and how that has impacted me and my love of doing things with my hands. So first things first, this project does involve fine motor skills. So if that's something you don't have access to, you're still absolutely welcome to watch. And you're also welcome to show this to someone and say, please make me a snowflake. Because everyone who wants a snowflake, listen, drop me a comment below if you want a snowflake, because honestly, I make way too many of these things and then they sort of, I think they propagate, like they sort of pup when I'm not here. And then there's more of them, and there's the ones from last year, and there's the ones from 20 years ago. So all you're gonna need is a pair of scissors that are pretty strong and big, and a white sheet of paper if you want your snowflake to be white. It doesn't have to be. We're gonna go for a circular snowflake shape, and this is not a circle, nor is it a square. So the first thing to do is to fold it in half. I think this is called hamburger style. Match up the corners and then crease it along the edge. Do the same thing again. Make sure that the corners match up and the crease is, you know, as creased as you can get it. So now you've got the corner that is only connected to folded edges, and then all the other corners have some non-folded edges, like the original edges of the paper. So you can see, if I can get it to stop auto-focusing on my face, hello! Those kinds where it's just single edges. We want the one corner here that's connected to only folded edges. From that corner is gonna be the center of our snowflake. From there, we're gonna fold the two edges of our little new rectangle together with that point at the base. We're gonna match them up and crease. The more matchy-matchy your edges are, the more symmetrical your snowflake will be. Imperfection is wonderful. Don't worry about it. So now we have this shape, which is one triangle with a little bit of a rectangle floating above the top, because again, this wasn't a square to start with. Keep track of that middle corner, and we're gonna fold again. This time, I want this shorter bit to be on the outside so I can see it. If you're doing this by feel, the top, so you've got your point at the bottom that is your center of your snowflake, and then you've got, if you slide your hand up, you'll feel a shorter bit of paper near the top edge and then a taller bit of paper. You want that shorter bit on the outside so you can continue to feel it as you fold around the center point again, edge to edge. So you've made a very narrow little pie slice. On one side it looks like just one extra edge at the top, and on the other there's 3 double layers, like that. Hello, focus. Yeah. So to get our circle, what we need to do is just cut a very simple arc across the lowest of those 3 layers. Just a really gradual arc, like that. Boop. Recycle what just fell on the floor. Now you have an actual pie piece. If you want to see that it's a circle, you can unfold it. And mine's a little bit more of a flower because of the arc I did, but now I've got a circle. Now I've got a circle. I'm gonna refold it. You don't have to unfold yours if refolding is too confusing. And this is your snowflake blank. So as many snowflakes as you want to make that many of these. While you do that, I'm going to talk about crafting and dynamic disability. I think I'll light a candle. If you don't know me, I have multiple chronic illnesses and disabilities. I'm also a very three-dimensional oriented person. You can't even see the candle. I promise it's there. Doing things with my hands and my body is what makes me feel mentally well, or as close to it as anyone can get these days. It is where a lot of my skill sets lie, where I've developed a lot of my skills. I've also developed a lot of cerebral skills, and I can do a lot digitally in terms of my competence, but I do really poorly in two-dimensional digital space in that it triggers a lot of my neurological symptoms to spend long amounts of time interacting with the screen. It's also really hard on my neck. When I started to have to rest more because of dynamic disability and chronic fatigue, and having a condition in which being upright, standing still, or even sitting upright sometimes doesn't work for my body, neurologically or from a circulatory getting blood to my brain perspective, I felt like I lost access to this whole world of making, of doing, of even just doing the dishes, but also gardening, farming, all these things that we do on this channel. And one of those things that kept me going during that time that I still had some access to was crafting. You can't see right now, but the camera is propped up on my bed desk, which is a adjustable desk that comes up very high, so you can be propped up on pillows almost fully laying down, and it can be right in front of you. You can rest your wrists on it if your hands are tired, and it has space for the computer and a little side space that's flat, so I could have a podcast or some movie on in the background and still be crafting. One of the symptoms of POTS and some of the other things I have is as a flare gets worse, or over the course of the day as your symptoms maybe stack up, I get a tremor. My hands get way less dexterous, way less able to do fine motor movements. I also lose cognitive function over the course of the day. My executive function in the morning is very high. By evening, I can't really track things. So through a lot of trial and error and grief, what I figured out was that if I start a craft project in the morning, even if I just do it for 2 minutes, but I get it started, and I do the difficult, tiny parts in the morning, whether that's making the snowflake blanks, or casting on a knitting needle project, or doing all the cutting out of pieces I think would be fun to collage, maybe while I'm having one of my breaks to get my heart rate down between doing work or doing standing up activities, if I can do them that day. Then in the evening, when I have to rest because I've crashed for the day, I have a prepared craft project where I don't have to think about what I'm gonna start because I've already started it. So no tracking involved. It's already started and I know the next step. The next step is very simple, and the next step requires far less fine motor hand-eye coordination and won't injure me if I tremor. Whether it's sewing or cutting with scissors, there's a way to do it that even if I'm shaky and I'm clumsy and I've become light sensitive, so I'm not looking very carefully, I'm not gonna cut my finger off. The great thing about snowflakes in that context is once you have the blank, nothing else needs to be precise. It's gonna look cool no matter what. I'm gonna show you what I mean in a second. But first, what are your favorite things to do that are three-dimensional, and how have you adapted them to your disabilities, chronic illnesses, or other access needs like having a kid, or only being able to work on your three-dimensional projects when you're really tired because your job is taking up all of your energetic time? What makes those things become accessible to you again? And if you don't know, check out the comments, see what other folks are saying. Maybe you can figure out how to bring that back into your life by simplifying it or hacking it in some way. For me, since I don't ever know how severe my symptoms are gonna be, and since I'm just like this, I tend to have a lot of craft projects just going. Simple ones that are already started. So the initiation energy doesn't matter, the thinking through what the project is doesn't matter. And then based on how bad my symptoms are of an evening while I have to rest, I either don't do anything, because sometimes you have to fully rest, or I pick the one that fits with how I can actually operate physically and mentally at that time. Simple knitting project is often the easiest because you just go. Things like intricate embroidery, where I'm making up what I'm doing or I'm following a pattern, often harder, but not always. Anything that's fully freeform and has sharp edges, depending on my mood, might be a little more dangerous in the afternoon. So that is why I'm making this snowflake in the morning. Okay, do you have your blank? Let's make magic. First thing I like to do is just remind folks that if you cut all the way through your blank, you are going to have 2 pieces of a snowflake. I'm trying to create as many intricate little holes in this as I can without breaking this form. So the side where you have the thickest amount of folds, but it's all composed of one fold, is gonna be your best friend. And just experiment. The thing I like to do first is usually do some sort of center cut, because remember, this is our center point. So I'm just gonna cut that off. And I'm gonna do it at an angle because I think it's fun. Next, I'm gonna do a little triangle here. You can do any shapes you want. The more weird they are, the cooler it's gonna look when you make it symmetrical. So I just did a little squiggle, and I'm gonna go in, follow that squiggle. I'll show you when I'm done, don't worry. And then I'm gonna cut it all the way off. Pull that out. So what I've got is this negative space. If that kind of shape is too hard for you with the scissors, just do triangles. Don't cut all the way through your blank. Do them along one side. I'm gonna do one on the bottom side. And you can do them on the other side too. You're really playing with negative space here. You can cut into the top of your pie piece too. I like to do triangles up there sometimes, like that. Almost like a little crown. And maybe I'll do something circular here because that feels good. So you can really go by experimentation. And what's fun is you kind of have to surrender to the not knowing, because if you unfold it, it's hard to get the folds to match up again once you have these little intricate cuts. These are really fun stocking stuffers. Don't unfold them and let the other person unfold them and solve the mystery. Or you can pop them in a card. Again, you know, not everyone does Christmas or stockings. Here's the trick. You still need some bits connecting all the pieces of, all the folds of paper. So if I cut every bit off this long side, it would fall apart into a bunch of pie pieces. It's okay if that happens. That's why you made a few different blanks, right? It's okay to experiment. It's okay to break it. You can tape it back together if you want. But if you have trouble with perfectionism, remember, you can do this with scratch paper as many times as you want. And if you only have the energy to do it once, or the physical capacity right now to do it once, just remember both sides need to have some bits that you didn't cut through, both of the long sides. So I'm gonna go into this last little fold. Show it to the people. Show it to the people. Come on, focus. This last little fold, I'm gonna leave connected bits on both sides. I'm just gonna cut into the middle of it, get rid of some of this blank space up here. So I'm gonna go like that, and like that. It's still connected on either side of that cut. So talking and doing that, literally all the energy I had right now. My heart rate's okay, so that's good. How are you doing? Was that it for you for the day? If so, amazing, you made a snowflake. Do you have more energy? Was that really challenging? Is it hard to let yourself not worry about messing it up? Great, do it like 20 more times. Let's unfold our snowflake. First unfold. Second unfold. Third and fourth. I love this. And the great thing about it is, just like an actual snowflake, it's gonna be unique each time. You can't control it, and it's beautiful. Unlike an actual snowflake, it's not freezing, so if you're temperature sensitive, congratulations, you now have a snowflake you can have indoors. As you can see, I could have cut away even more of the white space. There's still a good amount there, and it would be even more intricate. The more that you follow lines of cuts with other lines of cuts, the more it looks like you've drawn the white, or whatever color your paper is, in, rather than cut the empty parts out. So that's my snowflake. I'm gonna take just a little piece of tape, put it on the window, and at night, if you have your lights on in the house, others will get to see your snowflake as well. You can also, if you're in bed, hang it somewhere where you can see it or touch it so that it brings joy inside the house, especially if you can't go out, but you love winter. That's all I got, friends. Thank you for joining me, and remember to subscribe if you want. This is the beginning of this channel, so let's hang out. I hope you have a very lovely winter solstice, holiday season if you celebrate, getting through the dark months, wintering, and I will see you next time.